This is Kevin. I was at Green Pod, and certainly anybody else who was there. If I leave anything out that should be said, one thing I found interesting that was brought up, I think I don't remember who brought it up, but we talked about it for a while. Was the whole artificial intelligence data center overlap between the nuclear weapons complex and even nuclear power at those complex sites, but also commercial nuclear power plants. It's being used as a justification for building new reactors all across the country at this point. Um, so we were exploring the idea of challenging that in all kinds of ways. And the Georgia Wand and Nukewatch South report about Vogel 3 and 4 that mentions the data centers in there came up as a resource that we could use. So yeah, a dynamic in our Green Pod discussion today was the nuclear power aspect of things that some of our groups work on, but others don't. But here we go with, DOE sites hosting not only AI data centers, but also nuclear power plants to run them. And so that may be an area of growth where we could reach out to new allies. One that came to mind was Eric Epstein with 3 Mile Island Alert, because 3 Mile Island Unit 1 is proposed for reactor restart from closed status, and the whole justification supposedly is AI data centers. And that's been used as an excuse both at Palisades and Duane Arnold, Iowa as well. So that was an interesting point of discussion. I don't know if anybody else from today. Yeah.
I just want to add that we gave some consideration to the now very popular concept of let's talk about affordability. We have a president that was using that terminology the whole time he was running. We have a new mayor sitting in New York, and we probably want to incorporate that into a lot of our messaging. Another concept is kind of a subset of that is talking about legacy waste. We haven't dealt with it. It's extraordinarily expensive. And why do we keep creating more waste when we don't know what to do with what we've got?
Just another area that came up was an update on the consolidated interim storage fight. And I talked about Beyond Nuclear's recent appeal to the Supreme Court. This will be the second Supreme Court arena of recent times. Our side lost in June when the Supreme Court ruled that the state of Texas and Fasken Oil lacked standing to even bring their appeal to the Supreme Court. They didn't bring the appeal. They won in the Fifth Circuit, New Orleans, and the other side, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission and the dump companies appealed that victory in New Orleans and prevailed because the Supreme Court decided that Texas and Fasken did not have standing to be in court on these issues. And what was really ironic about that, I personally agreed with the Supreme Court ruling about Texas because they kind of sat out the NRC licensing proceeding. They did submit a letter, they did submit comments on the environmental review, but it was a minimal effort by the state of Texas to even be involved before the license was issued. Other than a good point that Don Hancock made during Green Pod, the state laws are key right now. And Texas did pass a state law, very hard one against the dump. New Mexico did as well. So at least we have that much going for us. And I and Don can talk about this more. I'm just summarizing. He pointed out that Holtec has given up its potential to use the site in southeastern New Mexico. They've essentially divorced their New Mexico partner, the Eddie Lee Energy Alliance. So Holtec won't be using that license there on that site. But Beyond Nuclear is worried that they could use their license, even though they've left New Mexico elsewhere, perhaps through a license amendment with the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. So for those reasons, and also because we've never had our day in court on these issues, our Nuclear Waste Policy Act arguments, our Administrative Procedure Act arguments, separation of powers, that's the reason we're asking the Supreme Court to review the DC Circuit's adverse rulings against us. So the fight goes on, and Don also brought up the Department of Energy's collaborative siting initiative, so called. It was called consent-based siting under the Biden administration. They are looking at other places in the country, not just Holtec. It's a grand coalition of nuclear industry and partners looking for potential consolidated interim storage facilities across the country. So this game of radioactive waste dump whack-a-mole certainly continues. And we're hoping that if the Supreme Court does take up our case, that they'll put an end to the violations of laws that have been part and parcel of all this for decades, truth be told.
Kevin, would you say something about the fundraising that you're trying to do for that effort with the Supreme Court?
Yep. So we underestimated how much it was going to cost because the docket, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission docket on these proceedings is so voluminous, and the Supreme Court requires that certain documents be submitted to them professionally printed times 100, something like that. And so I still need to raise about $15,000 to pay for that filing fee, but also to pay our lawyer, Diane Curran. We're lucky to have a second lawyer, Mindy Goldstein in Atlanta, who's pro bono, and she brings her assistant and her grad students, her law students with her. So it, it's a tremendous blessing, but we still face the challenge of raising some money to make this all happen. And the Supreme Court will, I believe, by spring, let us know yes or no, we're taking up your case. If it's no, that's the status quo, which ain't great, except for the fact that we're kind of winning right now, but that could still change. And certainly we have to worry about all these other places in the country that they're pursuing. I had mentioned Arkansas, but there are many others. So this goes on.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else from Green Pod that you all want to bring up, or? Yes, Dan.
Yeah, we also talked a little bit about small modular nuclear reactors as a growing area, which has been discussed in quite a bit of detail. Lee Ford gave an update on what's going on in Idaho, and there's a proposal by Amazon to rely on small modular nuclear reactors at Hanford or near Hanford. That's a little unclear yet. And then X Energy is proposing a small modular nuclear reactor along the Columbia Generating Station, which is an operating nuclear facility or nuclear power plant conventional at Hanford. And then there's a microreactor proposal on the west side of the Cascades, potentially just announced that they want to put microreactors on former military sites, so Joint Base Lewis McChord. The confluence of this with data centers is pretty powerful in terms of creating a lot of opportunities for messaging, and talking about these things together can be really helpful. On the data, there's a Data Centers 101 that's it's a top story on our website, columbiariverkeeper.org/news. Data Centers 101 is just like an hour-long webinar. Kate Valdez from the Confederated Tribes and Bands of the Yakama Nation is one of the panelists, along with the Citizens Utility Board, which speaks to the affordability issues. And a big shout out to Mia Burke from Hanford Challenge. She wrote a wonderful report years ago. It's a great summary of SMNRs and the challenges, and pulls a lot from the research from MV Ramana, who Lee Ford referenced earlier. So yeah, those two things are kind of right now getting more and more fused in part of the Columbia River Basin. Thank you.
Okay, we can move on to the report back from Peace Pod then. Can start with nuclear testing. So Scott and I briefly talked about Trump's statement on nuclear testing yesterday. And ANA did issue a joint statement condemning his statement. And we sent it out to our listserv. And we also made a press release about our visit to the Nevada National Security Site on Friday. And that was sent out to a good amount of media outlets. Kevin helped with that. Ian helped with that. So we really appreciate it. And we were kind of just wondering where else our letter should be circulated to. If anyone has any ideas to, further push this nuclear testing campaign, that would be great. Oh, yes. Chris, yes, we have those postcards that we can send out.
Just on that point, I mean, I'm not in DC at this point, but there is something called the Congressional Mail Delivery Services, and it's incredibly cheap. They've not upped the price in decades, as far as I know. It's 10 cents per packet to deliver to the entire Hill. You can either deliver to the House or the Senate or both. You can include all committees or certain committees. So it's an option. I've only done it manually in person. I don't know if there's a way to do it remotely, but it's a tool to keep in mind for getting something to every congressional office for what that's worth these days. But um, it's there and it's very affordable. It's called Congressional Mail Delivery Services, and it's halfway between Hart Senate Office Building and Union Station. It's a little hole in the wall, and you bring your stuff in hard copy, and they deliver it for you. They have all kinds of rules you have to follow as to how packets can be put together, physically clamped instead of stapled. I forget what the rules are, but there's a rule sheet. So just keep it in mind.
Thanks, Kevin. That's really useful. Yeah, that's a great idea to issue this letter out and make sure everyone gets it. Mhm.
It's up on the website if you're curious.
Yes, yes. And Sophie also said it's up on the website in case anyone didn't hear her online. But yes, it's on the website as well. Our Peace Pod's next thing that we wanted to talk about is the programmatic environmental impact statement and the campaign around that for commenting, public hearings. So, Sophie or Scott or Jay, if you want to jump in and make a little announcement about that.
Sure. So we decided that we'd like to have a monthly call starting in January around the plutonium pit production PEIS campaign to really get into campaign planning around the 5 sites or locations that will have public hearings, as well as creating templates for trainings and for materials that can be shared. We will have a shared website under development, and we have some experts from Union for Concerned Scientists and who are part of ANA who would like to do trainings in those locations for both oral comment presentations and for written comments. So partly this whole campaign is tentative until we have dates of the public hearings and until we know exactly when the 90-day comment period will be. But I think it's healthy for us to start planning what we want to do, and we can do kind of planning around what our initial talking points are, our headlines, things like that. So look for on Bananas if you'd like to join those. Coming soon, I'll circulate some suggested dates for meetings, and people can respond with what time works for them.
Yes, the 5 sites are Livermore, California, Washington, D.C., Kansas City, Missouri, Aiken, South Carolina, and Santa Fe, New Mexico.
People from anywhere can submit written comments, and there will also be a virtual hearing that's nationwide. So people can attend and make an oral comment virtually from anywhere.
Yeah, and I'll just add that the resource sharing was something that people are excited about. Yeah, I'm excited about that too. Even if you can't join those meetings, we'll be able to provide a whole set of good resources to help groups work on this. Jay said the more the merrier. I'm not sure what. The more comments, the merrier. Yes, great.
Yes, we just want to get as many comments as possible. Doesn't matter if your comments repeat each other, like just as many as possible. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I said the more the merrier in response to Joni's question in the chat about those meetings. No, they're not just for ANA. They're for everybody we can get a hold of. The little comment I wanted to make, the last time that there was a programmatic environmental impact statement on DOE's nuclear weapons complex was 2008. And that's what they were relying upon to say that they didn't have to do a new one. In 2008, there were 100,000 public comments submitted, which is astounding. And I'm not suggesting that we can approach that, but let's definitely try to get thousands and thousands of comments. And to my mind, all of this is made much more poignant by the fact that if the Trump administration has its way, this may be the last full NEPA process that there ever will be concerning the reconfiguration of the nuclear weapons complex. So I'm just urging that we really, exploit this to the fullest extent that we can. And then just to end on a mercenary note about money, if ANA and ANA members do a good job, there could be more money coming from the Prospect Hill Foundation.
Any questions, comments on PEIS?
Thanks. After watching the documentary last night, we were inspired to host a screening locally that focuses on plutonium pit production, preparing people to make their comments and preparing people for the PEIS process. And I wanted to encourage other people to also use that documentary to do that because it really details what happens when plutonium pits are recklessly made. So,
Thumbs up from Joni.
And I just wanted to move on to the other topics that Peace Pod talked about. So we went over some of the warhead programs that we're going to continue to oppose. We generally oppose all of the new warheads that are being developed, but are going to really drive home the W87-1 warhead, the W93 development of those two, because those are driving plutonium pit production. And then we also talked about opposing general plutonium modernizing funds, which we also did last year, but we added to that fight opposing continued modernization of tritium facilities and the tritium development at the NNSA sites. So that's kind of a new topic that we added. We're also going to continue our advocacy to support DNFSB to the extent we can. And I think that's it.
Just to keep in mind, the 5th anniversary of the TPNW, January 22nd in 2026. And then the following week, there will be a deterrence summit. And there will be an announcement of the, what do you call it? The Doomsday Clock. Yeah, shortly after that.
We discussed strategies on New Start a little bit. It will be expiring next year in February. So we're supporting a one year extension on the numerical cap that is included in New Start.
just to be clear, in the notes, it was agreed. Scott's suggestion was to cut out the 1 year and just say,
Okay.
yeah, I just wanted to mention that because that's not in those notes, but it's in the notes I just sent to everyone.
Thank you. Joni said, when is the deterrence summit? January 26th to 28th, in case you didn't hear, in Arlington, Virginia.
Any other comments? General comments on any opportunities that we should be taking in 2026?
Yeah.
And then we were talking about where the ANA letter should be circulated. And it's going to be added into Peace Pod's DC Days one pager.
Yeah, Jay, or someone, if anyone's speaking, can't hear you right now, but Jay, go ahead.
Yeah, just two things occur to me that'll be pertinent in two added things pertinent in 2026 is the fight over the National Environmental Policy Act itself. That's big. And the second, I'm repeating myself, but the fact that DOE is going to give weapons grade plutonium to commercial entities. And one of those entities is Oklo, that the DOE secretary sat on the board until he was appointed. So this is a big issue.
Pam, go ahead.
Okay, I just read an article by Gordon Chang that is insisting that China is actually testing underground and they built all these new tunnels and they're hiding it by setting off conventional explosives. So thereby, the US is justified to resume new testing. So this is going to be the story that China is making more new nuclear weapons and they're secretly testing. So we really have to fight this idea.
Yeah, thanks, Pam. I saw that article too.
Okay, I'll be extremely brief. I just want to acknowledge that, like, when we talk about any other government doing nuclear testing, especially if we're accusing another country of doing it in secret when they've claimed that they are not, I want to just call out the racism in that it is racist to assume that an Asian country is sneakily testing nuclear weapons when they already have a first use policy or a no first use policy. So I just want to call that out because we need to acknowledge racism every time we see it and not just blame China for nuclear issues.
Well, we have one last thing on the agenda, and that's to start talking about DC days. So for those of you who don't know, every year ANA member organizations go to DC in the spring. I believe last year, well, this year, it was the beginning of June. I think that's when we were there um, to do some lobbying on common sense nuclear policy initiatives, whether it be nuclear weapons, nuclear power, environmental cleanup, etc. So we do that every year, and we have a planning committee for this to plan our whole like week there. And so I was wondering if there's any volunteers, if anyone's interested in being on this planning committee. Yes, Giselle. Yes, you're interested. Okay, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, amazing. Thanks. And Scott, Kim, Lon, great. Yeah, we need Don. Don, are you raising your hand?
Yes, Don raised his hand.
And this is also an opportunity, if for like prior participants, if anyone has any input, for this year's committee, what worked last year, what didn't work last year, just any suggestions for the committee.
This is my
Yes.
suggestion to actually the board, which is um, the longer it takes the board to decide when we're going to do this, the harder it makes it for the committee to deal with logistics. And so I hope you guys can decide when you want to do it at your December meeting so we have a better running start at getting organized and finding venues, et cetera, right after the first of the year.
Don, go ahead.
So, sort of following up on Lon's comment, which I agree to, um, as many members that can of the DC Days Committee will meet the first week in December to talk about our suggestions for the board so that they'll have that input before the December 8th meeting. So I'll send an email out to people about possible times, but if people can take a look at their calendars that first week in December so the committee can have a first meeting before the board meets on December 8th, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Do we have any input on like evening events, etc.? We usually do movie screening, award ceremony. Am I missing something? The pizza party.
Yeah, I think having the movie, I think this was said during DC Days, but I think having the movie earlier is better. I think more people attend, and I think as we can all feel from the Uranium Film Festival right now, these are very powerful tools, both for us and for organizing. So I think having the movie earlier in the week is good.
Thank you. Yes.
So, I didn't put my hand up for DC Days Planning Committee, but like last year, I'd be willing to work on the subcommittee for evening events this year. So whoever ends up kind of making that happen.
Hey, this is Scott. I just wanted to bring up the awards ceremony because last year there was some questioning of are we ever gonna do a award ceremony with congressional awards like on the Hill again? And so I'm wondering if the board can also think about that. I mean, I know it's really for the committee, but if we have a award ceremony off the Hill like we've been having it, which has been very nice, it's just less likely that members of Congress will show up if they're nominated for an award. And also the last couple of years, I think the part of the consensus has been members of Congress haven't really been doing much to be praised for. But this situation, maybe like with the Nevada senators and members of Congress speaking out against testing, this year might be a worthy one to try to award them for that effort and bring more attention to. So it might be worth it from the start to have more consideration around a Hill-based event, which is also far more costly, I realize, but just thought maybe there's should be more debate about that early on.
Does anyone online have any comments, suggestions? Oh, no one in person does either. Oh, Kimmy, do you have something? Yeah.
It's dumb. It's such a tiny little thing. And I already said it when we were talking about it last year, but I just want to reiterate, even if we do the awards ceremony somewhere else, then this comment doesn't matter. But if we do go to Bus Boys and Poets, I just think we should not have table service during the awards show because it's disruptive to the important topics that we're talking about. Oh, because it's disruptive to the important topics that we're talking about. And the service is not very good because it's such a massive party and it's hard. I don't know if anyone else, like, I ordered drinks that just never came and I had to go to the bar and figure that out. And it was like, and also the server's talking to you while the speakers are talking. It's just like generally disruptive and it's very tight space. So I just think it'd be better if we all just got our drinks at the bar and then had the award ceremony and the food is already there. I don't know. Again, this the time to say this? I don't know. But I just want to make that clear. As a service worker, I just think it would be less disruptive to not have table service during the awards show while it's happening.
You're good. This is the time to make these comments. This is what we want to hear right now. Yeah, thank you for that. It does get a bit overstimulating. I agree. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Anyone else? Well, if not, we're done. Thank you. And Giselle just has a brief comment to make, but yeah. we're done. Okay.
So the first thing is I just want to give a shout out to everyone who's here and is just blessing this place with your presence. It's always such a joy and honor to be in community with all of you. And I want to give a special shout out to a few of the people that were on the fall meeting planning committee. So Ian and Aria are not here, but I want to give a shout out to both of them. I don't know if we should bring them in here. We should honor them. But then also thank you so much to Tanvi for facilitating and serving as board president, and being on the fall meeting planning committee and just doing so much to just amazing leadership. So huge thank you. And then huge shout out to Ian for and Aria.
Just a point of housekeeping, so when we do break up, the family's here now. So we're gonna take our chairs and stack them up outside. And then clear the table and then remove your coats from the room and leave. Come enjoy the rest of the house, but that's the only housekeeping, just pick up the front. Yeah, we'll put the front.
Yeah, one more super quick announcement. So I just wanted to express a lot of gratitude. I've seen a lot of people wearing keffiyehs and just a huge amount of gratitude for the solidarity with our brothers and sisters in Palestine who are still undergoing a genocide, even though there's an alleged ceasefire. Conditions are not better. People are still getting bombed and still getting killed. So I just wanted to name that in our work. You know, solidarity is important. And if anyone's interested, I have a friend named Mohammed who's in Gaza who I've been trying to raise funds to support him and his family. And I have a poetry book of poetry that he's written that I helped to compile. So if anyone is interested in purchasing one of these poetry books, it's a really powerful insight to the experience of a person living in Gaza. I have the first edition, which is $15, and the second edition, which has a few more poems, that's $20. 100% of the proceeds go directly to support him and his family, who are still struggling a lot, especially as winter is escalating in Gaza. So thank you. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Okay. Oh, I think Ellen has a comment. And then Kevin, we'll go to you.
Yes, can you hear me?
All right, Ellen.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I just want to particularly thank Sophie for doing such a fabulous job with the Zoom and making it possible for people who couldn't be there. You did an amazing job, Sophie, and it's great working with you. And it's been great being part of ANA for the past year. I love you all.
We love you, Ellen. Thank you for that. So appreciate you. We had Kevin. Oh, thanks, Kevin. Thank you.
This is a real quickie and not particularly related, but we're having our first awards dinner in Dallas since the pandemic. And if you brought things about your own organizations, I'm pretty much good on things that we've had here at the facility. But if you have things about your own organizations that you don't want to carry home, I would be glad to take them. And if you don't and want to send them later, email or whatever, I would really appreciate that, just to show people the breadth of things that's going on in our work.
Thanks, Mavis. I did just want to, we have a couple materials here, the ANA letter on testing. Of course, this great presentation from Dr. Ketterer on how to construct the air monitor. And then we have a Area C fact sheet from Nuke Watch. So this is going to be a big issue for us on cleanup, comprehensive cleanup. And then any more materials you guys want the fact sheet? Great.